Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Rewinder. I am joined again by my good friend Robert Storms. And today we are going to take a look back at the 2004 Punisher film starring Thomas Jane. I remember when this film came out. I saw it in theaters. I had the best time with this film. But today we're going to see if it really holds up. And I just watched it last night, and all I can say is, yes, it does. It really does hold up a lot.
It does.
So,
it does.
Robert, what are your thoughts on this movie?
When I seen this movie when it first came out in theaters, and I seen it, I think 3 or 4 times in theaters. It was one of those movies that I saw, and I literally tried to grab all my friends and family to come back and see it with me and repeat. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you guys got to see this movie. And it's funny because it came out around the same time as Hellboy 2, and a lot of my friends were kind of in the camp of we care more about Hellboy 2. But the Punisher, I think, especially this version of the Punisher, I've always been a fan of the comics and Frank Castle, but this one actually made me care about Frank Castle as a person and dealing. They changed a lot of stuff with the comics. I'm going to be honest with you, right? The way his family gets murdered and stuff, a lot of that stuff that goes down, it's very different than the comics. And if I'm going to be completely honest here, the Punisher Warzone movie, although it's not a good movie, is the most truer adaptation of the comics.
Agrees.
But it's not a good movie. This movie at least focuses on keeping true to the Frank Castle character, but also focus on being a good movie first. And that's why I like the movie so much.
Okay, what I have always appreciated about this movie is something that you just touched base on, was that you do care about Frank Castle, because this movie does a great job at setting up who he is as a character and who he is as a person. He is a family man. He is a man who just retired, who's looking forward to bliss with his wife and his child. Unfortunately, this last mission he was just on, he got a popular mobster's son killed, and now John Travolta's coming after him.
Yes.
Because his wife ordered it. Yep, Howard Saint. Now, like you were saying, in the comics, you know, it wasn't Howard Saint who killed his family or had his family killed in the comic book. Howard Saint is a character in the comics, but he's not the one who had his family killed. It was the Mafia. The Mafia was a Mafia hit.
Yeah.
But I feel like this really gives it more levity, and it really gives it a more emotional touch. Because you have this mobster whose son is killed, and you can actually, like, feel his grief. You really can. Like, when he's talking about his son, like, my son didn't need to impress me. I had to tie his shoes till he was 13. You know, I had to dress him, tie his ties. Like, he really loved his son.
Yeah.
And, like, honestly, it's interesting that both the villain and the hero of the film, or the anti-hero, if you will, have the same mentality. Okay, like, you fuck with my family, I will kill you.
Yes,
like, that's just how it is.
Yes.
And this has, by far, my favorite Punisher line in it. All right, when the guy tells him to go with God, Thomas Jane, without missing a beat, just looks at him and goes, God's gonna sit this one out.
Absolutely.
Oh, love that line.
Absolutely.
All right, like, right there, you know, oh, shit's about to go down.
Yes.
And Thomas Jane, I don't think we've ever had a better Punisher. And I know a lot of people love to throw John Bernthal in our faces. And, you know, here's the thing. John Bernthal, something you stated last night to me, it was John Bernthal was basically just playing Shane from Walking Dead with a Punisher outfit. Yes. It's the same character. All right, and what bothered me about the John Bernthal version, not that it was bad, okay, because I really liked the Punisher show. All right, I did. The issue with him is that version wasn't a cop. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about the Frank Castle character, was that he was once on that side of the law.
Yes.
He was once the guy who did everything by the book.
Exactly.
Okay? And when he retires, his family gets killed, and he just does a complete 180.
Yes, because he fought for the law, and he's like, well, maybe the law doesn't work, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and it adds so much more meaning to the character, and I feel like that's what the Bernthal version missed out on. As good as it was, but for me, no, Thomas Jane, God, he makes you care about this character the entire film, and not only that, he is badass. He is funny as hell. Okay, like, I love after the fight with the Russian.
I'm fine. He's not.
What did you think of the three characters in the boarding
So
house with him?
I'm
What'd
actually
you think of
glad you
them?
brought that up because another reason why I think this movie is so spectacular and underrated, I actually do think it's really underrated,
Mm,
is not it has a great supporting cast. Great Ben Foster,
absolutely.
Rebecca Romaine. Dude, Rebecca Romaine at the end when she's like, "You're just gonna go and die."
Yeah.
To me, that hit from like Cowboy Bebop, the final episode where Faye's pleading with Spike not to go die.
Yep.
Thomas Jane, she's pleading with him not to go do this. You're going to die. It was very heartfelt. You feel that these are a cast of misfit characters, but they all are like trying to help one another.
You're gonna die tonight, aren't you? Is that what you want?
I
Yes.
thought the supporting cast, a standout for me was Will Patton, who played Howard Shane.
It's Quentin. He played Quentin in the movie.
Quentin, yes.
Such a great character.
So good.
We just made your bail. Now, if I wanted to kill you, I would have left you in jail where we have friends, and in some way that I can only describe as deeply pornographic, you would have been killed, but you're a small piece of shit. And I don't want the karma of your death on my soul.
Such a good character, and the villains are villains in this, but they're so good at it. And the way Thomas Jane makes them play each other is hilarious and it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Just the cast across the board. Like what Will Patton did to Ben Foster's character. I used to be someone who had a lot of piercings. I had tongue piercings, eyebrow piercings.
That was horrifying. And
Yeah.
Ben Foster acted that so well.
Yes, he did. And it showed you how bad these people are. You know, it wasn't about showing a bunch of blood or having a character that has a jigsaw face and having over-the-top explosion. It's about coming down with character development and making you have impact with these characters.
Exactly.
And that's what this movie had. And again, the supporting cast, fantastic.
Yes, and I like that they actually did choose three characters from the comic to be the ones in the boarding house because he was in the comics. The Punisher was he was at war with this mob boss when it was over. Like he was gravely injured, and they found him and they cared for him. When he was better, he left and said, "Look in the cupboard." And there was a sack of money, which is exactly what we see here. So I love that they included that. The only one, it's funny because like the only one of those characters that wasn't like her comic book counterpart was Joan, because in the comic she's known as Joan the Mouse, and she's gorgeous, but like she's very meek, she's very quiet, and you got Rebecca Romaine here, who is like a victim of domestic abuse.
Yes.
And she's also feeling like she doesn't know where she belongs anymore. And I love her moments with Frank Castle, like maybe new memories can save your life. And just these wonderful moments with these characters and these two actors playing perfectly off of each other. What did you think of John Travolta?
John Travolta was awesome as Howard Stane.
Oh, yes,
Howard Stane, absolutely awesome. I'm not the biggest John Travolta fan. I'm not. You know, I he's one of those actors like he's hit and miss for me.
Yeah.
I thought he was perfectly casted for this role, and he did everything like so good. Like he played that mobster really well. You know, I feel like he was an actual mob boss. You know, I felt like you said about his son. I felt that his betrayal, like he actually thought his best friend was sleeping with his wife.
Yes.
You know, he did such a great job in that movie.
And he has probably the funniest line in this movie. It's like, "Where's Quentin? Oh, he's wrapped up in something."
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, your mother. Oh, by the way, your mother left. What? Yeah, she took the train.
Took the train. Yes. I love that. That's what I'm saying. Like he was evil, dark, but he was also humorous in certain points of the movie. You know, and I really dug that.
Owned that. And I will say, like the way he's defeated in the end, it's a little over the top, but I really like that they made it like a standoff. And it's like, "You killed my son." Boom. Both of them. Yes.
I know I said this ain't the most comic accurate, but there was a lot of stuff from the comics. The Russian was from the comics.
Oh yes.
The popsicle scene with Mickey was from the comics,
Yes.
where he torched him with a popsicle and they thought it was a blowtorch. Was so there was a lot of elements from the comics in it. It's just when we get down to the actual origin story, it's not the most accurate. But I think it did a great job updating the character from the times and making you care about his character.
Yes.
And I love the fact that he was a cop. And I know it took place in Tampa, not New York. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where it takes place as long as it's true to the essence of the character.
Exactly. As long as you get Frank Castle right. And Thomas Jane, it actually saddens me he never got a sequel out of this.
Other than Dirty Laundry.
There was a short film called Dirty Laundry where he reprised the role, and like it's revealed at the end that he's actually the Punisher. It's so good. If you've never seen that short film, definitely check it out. But what was weird was Warzone was gonna be a sequel to this initially. And Thomas Jane, it was going to be Thomas Jane and Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was going to be Jigsaw, which is why when you see in Warzone, Dominic West falling into the vat and his face is all disfigured, it was meant to be a throwback to Batman 89. But without Michael Keaton, that doesn't work. Yeah. So, fuck Warzone. You know, I will always appreciate this movie because it really did give me the Punisher that I wanted. A Punisher that could... represent what he was in the comics, but also maintain a good film as well. And that's something you touched upon, was that this opts to not just be a good adaptation, as good an adaptation it can be, but it's also just focusing on being a great film. But I will touch upon a couple things that were different because there was an extended cut of this. Howard Saint's son talking with his bodyguard about going on the thing with Mickey.
Yes.
In the beginning. There was literally an entire subplot. Just like Daredevil, there was an entire subplot cut out of this movie with Frank Castle's partner.
Oh, yeah. They alluded to that a little bit in the movie.
His partner was the one who sold him out.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. I want you to watch the extended cut. I'm not going to spoil how that ends and how that progresses because I want you to see it.
Yeah.
But, dude... it ends beautifully. That's all I'm gonna say.
Damn.
Like it's a fitting end. I love the fact that his son was the one to give him the shirt. Okay, like he's wearing like a symbol of his child on his chest while he's killing all these people. I love that. Let's talk about the soundtrack.
Dude, Amy Lee, she was knocking it out with Daredevil, then Punisher, Broken. Like, oh my god,
love that song.
I bought that soundtrack. The score for that movie too, phenomenal.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, just the overall, just great. That's what I'm saying. It's a memorable movie because it has everything. It has the soundtrack, it has the score, it has the script, it has the acting, and that's what makes the movie memorable. You know, is all those different phases of the film.
I remember what was weird for me was I liked the song "Step Up." By Drowning Pool. What was weird for me? Well, what was weird for me was it was the first song that they released without their original singer because the singer had died of a heart attack.
Yes.
So it was very weird. I remember watching the video going, "That's not the same guy. This is not the same voice. I don't like change."
Yeah.
But no, overall soundtrack was great. If you could ever listen to it, give it a shot. It's definitely worth it. Like if you're into hard rock or metal, you'll definitely dig it.
I think it's one of those underrated films. When people start talking about the Marvel movies, I think they automatically go straight to the MCU now because that's the newest thing. And out of all the Punisher adaptations, where we're talking about John Bernthal, Dolph Lundgren, and what was the other guy's name? Ray Stevenson, which I actually think he did a pretty decent job. He was the only thing good about that movie, to be honest with you.
I agree with you.
I just think this movie is the one that's the best out of all of them because it focuses on him as a character. It makes you care about him as a character first rather than being accurate to the comic and whatnot. I just think it's an underrated movie, and it's definitely in my top Marvel movies of all time, right along with good old Daredevil. So I actually love the movie.
Daredevil. We'll get to that soon, folks. We'll get to that soon.
but yeah, in closing, I just love the movie, and I'm really interested to go see the extended cut now that you told me that. And I think more people need to kind of revisit this movie and kind of look at it with a new set of eyes because I think it's a fantastic film.
No, I completely agree with you. Definitely very underrated. Before the MCU came out, this was really one of my favorite comic book movies. It was like top 10. All right. And I feel like, you know what? It still holds up. It's still a great film. If you want a proper Punisher film, I would definitely say check this out. And you will be blown away by Thomas Jane and how good he is in this film. Okay, folks, well, I'm glad you joined us today. Okay, that's another episode of Rewinder. Next time, we're going to be taking a look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Triceratops! Saber-tooth tiger!
Tyrannosaurus!
I can't.
White tiger! No, I can't say that. Anyway.
Yes.
Black Panther!
That's just as racist.
Oh.
Oh.
We'll catch you next time, guys.
Later, guys.